If you're an author and you have thought about hosting a pre-order or you've already done a pre-order and you didn't see the success that you wanted to see, keep watching. I'm Ashley and I support authors with profitable publishing. And today we're going to be talking about 6 things you need to know before you do your pre-order. And I'm someone who's done a profitable pre-order 4 times for myself, as well as dozens of times with other authors I've supported, and actually have a book on the topic, Profitable Publishing with Pre-Orders. And so you can grab that at the link in the description of this video. So the first thing that you need to know is that you have to have a way to generate sales. Now, and these are not in any particular order, but you need to have a way to generate sales, and you need to understand the sales process as well as how to actually get people to buy. So many authors just think, oh, I'm going to do a pre-order and people are just automatically going to purchase it, or they think that they are going to figure it out along the way because so much time and energy is spent in the publishing process. And you should be devoting just as much, if not more time, to understanding your marketing as you do with understanding the publishing process. And often, sorry, hair out of place, often in self-publishing, and really publishing in general, the focus is just on the actual publishing. Like, yes, okay, you need to get the book done, it needs to be created. But if you spend all of this time and energy creating the book, you spend all this time and energy getting it, your editing done, and you don't spend any energy, or you spend very minimal energy in that marketing aspect, then you are not going to see the sales that you want to see. And especially not the pre-orders, because during the pre-order period, you are selling something that's not created yet. You are trying to encourage people to buy this thing that does not exist. And so they're having to trust you. They're having to believe that you are the person who is going to deliver the thing that they want. And you're going to have to keep their faith throughout your entire pre-order. And so if you don't have a way to generate sales, then it's going to make you feel as if you are not doing what you need to be doing, and you're going to be upset and irritable, or whatever the case may be. And then also, your audience is going to see that in the way that you come off in your marketing and your content creation, your emails, things like that. And so the first one is to make sure you have a way to generate sales. And then the second one is to make sure that you understand how to attract your audience even before you open your pre-orders for purchase. So many authors tend to think that as soon as I let people know that my book is available, that's when my book launch starts. But honestly, you should be dropping out information. You should be spreading those nuggets, the little trail, like from Hansel and Gretel, dropping those nuggets along the way so that your readers and your potential buyers know that you're coming out with a book. It is a disservice to them and a disservice to you to just suddenly pop up with a book and they didn't know you were even creating it. Now, if it's not your first book, or even actually it is your first book, then you can do that. However, it's not the best strategy if your goal is profit. You want to bring your readers on a journey. You want them to be able to see your book baby come to life. I equate it to, if you think about those friends or acquaintances from high school and college where they have their kids and they post them on social media, and you've never met this kid a day in your life. You have no idea who this child is except for what their parent or their auntie or whoever posts. And so you are the internet auntie or uncle to that parent or to that kid. And then that kid ends up graduating, and you're thinking, man, I can't believe so-and-so is so big. If you were to see that child on the street, they would have no idea who you were. But you've watched their journey. You watched them grow up. And so the same is true for you and your book. People want to watch the journey of your book. They want to watch your book grow up, and they want to see it mature. They want to be not nosy, but they want to be informed. And so in order to do that, you have to make sure that you are bringing your readers on a journey by hosting a book launch, not just saying, buy my book. Not just saying, oh, my book's available today, go buy it, and then never posting about it again, or even waiting until it's an opportunity for it to be paid, or for them to pay, for you to then ask them to buy. That can feel very off-putting to some readers of, okay, so the first time you're telling me about this thing is when you need money. That, for some people, that rubs them the wrong way. Kind of like that person who, I'm going to use high school again, the person from high school who you haven't talked to in decades, or not decades, well, maybe decades for some. You haven't talked to in decades, you haven't talked to them in years, and then they ask you to buy something from a product or service they're selling that doesn't align with you. If it's something that's a good fit, okay, maybe it makes sense for them to reach out. But typically, those are things that people don't like to just ask people to pitch to after not even seeing if it really aligns with them. So the second thing, once again, is to attract your audience and knowing how to attract your audience. The third thing is to really understand the platform policies. of your pre-order. So depending upon where you are hosting your pre-order, I'm a proponent of hosting it on your website, and I give extensive details about how to do that. The whole pre-order process, the whole pre-order and launch process in my book, Profitable Publishing with Preorders. But if you are choosing to host your pre-order on a separate platform, which I do address some of the common platforms and as to why I don't choose them. I'm not going to say them because I said them over on Threads. And then the CEO of the platform was like, hey, if you change your mind, let me know. And no shade to him. I thought that was cool that he reached out and it was like a no hate thing. But I'm sure y'all know which platform it is. Anyway, and lots of people have success over there, but I share why I choose not to do it for my books and why I encourage most authors not to use it. Either way, you have to know the parameters of the platform. You have to understand what it is that they are requiring you to do, whether you're hosting it on Amazon KDP, which again, it's not a platform I suggest using, and I explain that in the book as to why, as well as I'll link some other videos here to share that. But you have to understand what they're asking you to do. There are people who are getting banned from being able to release a pre-order on Amazon KDP because they didn't follow the policies, or you can get kicked out of off of Kickstarter or these other platforms. And so making sure you're aware of the policies of the platform. If you're hosting on your own website, you also want to make sure whether or not your platform allows pre-orders, because some of them don't. So understanding what your website policies are. So having a policy in place such as if you're doing online sales, so understand that you have to have those kind of things. Knowing that you might need to speak with a lawyer or speak with someone who does templates for small business owners to be able to be protected so that you can make sure you're staying compliant. If you're sending out emails, making sure you're staying compliant with your email marketing, because just because you have an account and it's connected, are you being compliant with what the laws and regulations are of your area and of the areas that you're sending emails to? And so being mindful of all those things is so important because you want to be able to stay and use those platforms. Now, the next thing is to be mindful of your delivery times. And so the next thing you need to know before you host your pre-order is really understand your delivery times. Understanding when is your book going to be finished? When is it going to be shipped to you? When is it going to be shipped to the reader? However you're setting up your pre-order. You want to make sure you have those timelines so that way you can communicate those with your reader. And you also want to keep them abreast of them. And so, for example, almost 2 years ago, almost 2 years ago, well, no, about a year and a half ago, I had a book that was printed overseas, and I had delays because they kept delaying it. They kept saying, "Oh, it's here," and they kept moving it back and forth in between two countries around Lunar New Year. And I'm thinking, is it going to make it out of there before Lunar New Year is over, or before it starts? I mean, and so I had to communicate with my audience and let them know, "Hey, this is the status. I'm tracking it. I can see it. It's not lost." And my audience was very gracious, and they're like, "Well, you've already done these other things, such as give us a copy of the PDF of the book, and so we can use that for what we needed because it was a cookbook, and so they could put that on their tablet and do whatever they needed to do with it to cook the recipes." So they were totally fine, but I had been communicative with them during the entire process, so they were aware of what it is that of what was transpiring and also what would transpire in the future. So really understanding those timelines. If you have never published a book, then I am cautious to tell you that you should, or not cautious, I'm going to inform you that you should work with someone, or at least find a mentor or coach or someone to be able to understand those publishing timelines if you're going to host a pre-order. And then the next thing you want to be mindful of is the delivery of your items. And so if you are using Amazon KDP, they will auto deliver it for you. However, if you're choosing the more profitable option, then such as hosting pre-orders on your website, you have to be mindful of how you're going to deliver those items to your customers, how they're going to get delivered to you, how you're going to create those packages so that they're ready to go, and really just keeping customers in the loop. And if you're hosting a pre-order that includes digital and physical products, then you have another layer that I talk about in the book, that helps you, and the book walks you through this process. You have another layer to consider because you are having to do the text. You're having to make sure that their stuff gets auto delivered and make sure that these things are available for them, as well as combining with physical products. And so all of these are things I mentioned in the book. And as well, if you're someone who needs the next level up, I do offer VIP days to be able to map out your entire pre-order in my Pre-Order Profits program. And so if you are interested in those, you can drop VIP in the comments and we can get you set up so that way you don't have to worry or be stressed about any of this, because I will be doing most, if not all of it for you. And then there'll be some things that I will encourage you to do so that way you're looped into the process and you understand what exactly it is that needs to happen to have a successful pre-order. And then the last thing is you need to know how to have success beyond your book's pre-order. So it's not enough to just focus on the pre-order. You need to also understand how to, and I'm sorry, I said last thing, there's one more. You need to understand how to have the success beyond your pre-orders, because most authors, they typically have a upward climb of, okay, making some sales, and then it dips after their launch. So you want to have a system in place for continuous sales. And so that's why I recommend tapping in, having a coach, getting a mentor like myself. That is something I offer for authors, to be able to have a consistent way for you to sell books in a way that matches your lifestyle, not one that just feels like I have to always be on the go or I have to always be on. Find things that fit and work for you and have a clear plan in place. So that way you're not just doing this big launch and then suddenly all your sales just fall off the face of the earth, and then you are having to try to get the next launch to kind of get that high again. So getting those consistent sales, even if it's on platforms like Amazon KDP, their preference is to have consistent sales here and there, as opposed to a big drop or a big launch and then absolutely no sales after that. So you can have your launch, of course, yes, that's good. Get the sales at the beginning, but they prefer to see some additional trickles, I'll say, throughout, because then it shows that your book is continuously selling, not that it's sold just for a smaller period of time. And the one that I left off, my apologies, is, like I said, these are out of order. You need to know what to sell. And so when I say that, I'm coming from the standpoint of that the authors that I work with and myself, we don't just sell our book during the pre-order process. We maximize profit and we make sure that we are including additional things with our book to bundle it to be able to make it a better experience for our readers. And so understanding what to sell and choosing products that are not like knickknacks and tchotchkes that are going to just suck your income dry, suck your profit dry, but choosing items that are actually going to support the reader to read your book, recommend your book, and leave a review for your book are key. And so if you are looking for strategies to be able to get this done, I do recommend you check out my new book, Profitable Publishing with Preorders. Or if you're thinking I would like to be able to have a closer, more hands-on approach, then I do offer VIP days for this service, because it's something that I'm very passionate about, to be able to support authors to be able to publish profitably. We don't have to wait weeks, months, well, weeks, let me say weeks, it can take some time for weeks, but we don't have to wait months and years to be able to make our money back from our books. We don't have to wait that long to make a profit. It doesn't have to be your reality. You don't have to wait till your pre-order is over to get paid, as is often advertised by people who host their pre-order on Amazon KDP. That's not the only option. That's not the only strategy. And so if you are looking for those types of results in your book business, then definitely connect with me. You can either drop VIP in the comments and I will send you a link to get started, or you can read the description under this video to be able to find the options for both the book and VIP days. Have a good one.